Surprisingly, I remember my very first day of school, my very first day of kindergarten. Picture it, September 1995. 5-year-old Brittany in her brand new school uniform dress with a crisp white shirt with a round collar, navy blue tights, and shiny patent leather penny loafers. Up until then, I had spent every day with my grandmother. We read together, we played together, we learned together, and of course we laughed together. My grandmother was my safe place. So the morning that I was supposed to leave for my first day of kindergarten, I cried, more like wept, really. I stood in the house holding on to my grandmother because I didn't want to leave her. And I don't think I was afraid of school, but I simply didn't want to leave the person that I loved the most. Eventually, my mother took my hand and we headed to J. Garfield Jackson Academy. When I walked onto the blacktop, I was overwhelmed. Students from every grade stood in neat little lines waiting for the first bell to ring. I looked around and I thought, there is no way that I'm supposed to be here. I'm way too little. But then our principal, Miss Calhoun, called us all to attention with her bullhorn, and suddenly all the older kids began reciting words that I had never heard before, and so I stood there looking around, completely confused, and wondered how everyone else seemed to know exactly what to say. I would later learn that those words were our school pledge. I'm a Jackson Academy VIP. I'll go down in history. My goal is to do my best so I can compete with all the rest. By working hard at everything I do, my reports will be good. This is true. I'll make sure my appearance is always good. This is something that is naturally understood. The idea is to do well so that someday I can excel and grow. Yes, I'm a Jackson Academy VIP. Therefore, I will always be the best I can be. More than 30 years later, I can still recite every word. Then I met Miss Crooks. With her beautiful dress and her long black hair and her gentle spirit, she welcomed our little group of kindergartners into our classroom and invited us to sit on the bright, colorful carpet. My grandmother had already taught me my letters, but Miss Crooks helped me to write them more consistently, how to hold my pencil correctly, and how to develop habits that would develop and shape me as a student. She even taught me how to share with others, something that didn't always come naturally to an only child like me. Before long, I had fallen in love with school. In fact, I loved it so much that I cried the day that I had to leave early because I was sick. I became a school ambassador, and my years at Jackson Academy set me on a trajectory of lifelong learning and the love of learning. I also never stopped loving my grandmother or cherishing the time that we spent together. But I also discovered that leaving something familiar doesn't mean that we're losing it. Sometimes it means that we're making room for something new. And sometimes what we are most reluctant to leave is what God is using to prepare us for where God is leading us next. And so I hope that you'll join us this Sunday as we reflect on what it means to answer God's call, especially when it leads us beyond what is familiar.